Great day to one and all. Welcome to the September 2023 Licensure Examination for Teachers or LET Review for Mathematics Majors. I am Mr. Kim J.C. Ensho, and I will be discussing with you the final coaching, particularly items 121 to 160. So I believe you have your pens and paper ready, your calculators ready as well, and your answer sheets. And please be reminded of the instructions or the directions. Shade the box that corresponds to your answer. If the correct answer is not found among the choices, I would like you to shade E. I hope it's clear with us. And we will be discussing again another set of 40 items. Let's have 121. Two unbiased dice, numbered 1 to 6, are rolled. How many outcomes have a sum of at most 4? Did you go for 3, 4, 5, or 6? Okay. So far, we have one answer there, which is D or 6. How about the others po? Okay, B daw ang sabi ng isa sa inyo. 4. Now, let's see who among you got it right. Take note po, no? So when we say a sum of at most 4, it means a sum that is less than or equal to 4. So the minimum sum is 2 because why? Because the first die could show 1, the second die could also show 1. So the minimum sum is actually 2, and the maximum sum is actually 6 plus 6 or 12, no? So we are expected to have a sum of a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 12. But since yung tinatanong ko sa atin ay at most 4, it means you could have a sum of either 2, 3, or 4. Let's have a sum of 2. For you to have a sum of 2, isang bagay lang yan. That is, 1 on the first die and 1 on the second die. At wala na pong iba. Wag po tayong, wala na pong iba dyan. To have a sum of 3, it's either you have 1 on the first die and 2 on the second die, but it could also be reversed, no? So pwedeng 2 sa first die at saka 1 yung lalabas sa second die. Yes, die. Okay. And to have a sum of 4, pwedeng 1-3, 2-2, at saka 3-1. At yun lang po, wala na pong iba. So wag po kayong maghanap ng iba. So with that, there are only 6 outcomes. And if you answer D, you got it right. Okay. Yes, D po, which stands for Diwaw. Okay, 122. Annie plans to answer all of the items in a 10-item multiple choice test with choices A, B, C, and D. In how many ways can she answer the said test? By the way, it is assumed here po that you will have only one answer for each item and that each item will be answered. Okay, did you go for 4 raised to 10? 10 raised to 4, 40, or 4 factorial, 10 factorial? Ang sabi ng Hello Madlang People Mabuhay ay letter A. 4 po kayo. Tama nga kaya yung letter A? We'll see. So, actually, no, meron po tayong 10 items. So that's why we have 10 slots. Okay? Pero bawat slot ay pwedeng answeran ng A, B, C, at saka D. That's why there are 4 ways of answering each item of this test. And if we are going to apply, no, this one, the first item could be answered in 4 ways, the second item in 4 ways, the third item in 4 ways, the fourth in 4 ways, all the way to the 10th item in 4 ways. And if you could see, we have to multiply all of them courtesy of the fundamental counting principle. And that is 4 raised to 10, letter A po. I hope you got it. So sa lahat ng sumagot ng A, tama po. 123. What is the GCF of 12x squared y to the fifth and 16x y to the seventh? Did you go for 4x squared y to the seventh, 4xy to the fifth, 4x cubed y to the 12th, or 4x squared y to the seventh? Okay. So, to all who commented for this item, your answer is B. Okay. Tama nga ba si B? Remember that B, that GCF stands for the greatest common factor. And greatest common factor is the largest factor that is common to two or more expressions or numbers. So, take note. Ano po yung, so kung titingnan po natin if we have 12 and 16, which are your numerical coefficients, its GCF is 4. No? I hope you would agree with me. How about po 4x squared and y and x? Ano po yung GCF ng x squared at saka x? Will you pick the one with a larger exponent? Or will you pick the one with a smaller exponent kung GCF po yung pag-uusapan natin? Okay, we always pick the one with the smaller or the smallest exponent of all. Okay? Provided that, of course, that variable is common to all of these monomials, no? So we pick the one with the smallest exponent. So yung GCF po ng x squared at saka x ay x. How about for y to the fifth and y to the seventh? That is y raised to what? Tama, y raised to 5. And placing all of them in one answer, thus the GCF of the two expressions is 4x y to the fifth, letter B. All right. 124. Consider f of x equals 9 minus x times 8 minus x times 7 minus x all the way until 1 minus x. What is f of 3? Did you go for 0, 120, 720, or 5040? Okay, it's interesting that you answered letter A, which is 0. And sure kayo na 0? Now, okay, sure daw, sabi ni Sir Richard. Sana all sure. Yung siguradong sigurado ka na, no? Yung hindi ka na magba-back out kahit anong mangyari. Now, if you have this expression, f of 3 po yung hinahanap natin, which means, no? But take note that if we are going to follow the pattern, meron po dyan, no? Kasi yung sundan is 6 minus x, 5 minus x, 4 minus x, 3 minus x. Note that 3 minus x is one of the factors of this expression. And if x is equal to 3, this expression, this 3 minus x becomes 3 minus 3 or 0. That's why, regardless kung ano man po yung values ng ibang factors dito, but the presence of a factor that is equal to 0 makes the product of everything equal to 0. Hence, f of 3 is equal to 0. Letter A. Yes po, Mary Kate, I agree po. Congratulations. Tama po, yung letter A. All right. 125. For how many natural number values of n is 3n plus 10 all over n minus 3 an integer? Okay, please correct me, an integer. Okay, is it 2, 3, 4, or 5 values? Letter C daw, 4. May sumagot ng B, 3. Okay. Halo-halo po ata, no? May sumagot ng B, C, D. Pero so far, wala pong sumagot ng A. May tama, okay, may sumagot ng A. Ang tanong, may tama nga kaya sa inyo? Tingnan po natin. Here's the thing, no? Actually, the technique here po mga kaguro is division. So, you will divide the 3n plus 10 all over n minus 3. And if you do the division of that, no, you will actually arrive to 3 plus 19 all over n minus 3. That's why, naglagay po si Sir Chad dyan, no, ng note sa ibaba. That 19 all over n minus 3. Yes. So take note that if you have this one, for 3 plus 19 all over n minus 3 to be an integer, and take note that n here has to be positive based on the problem, then n minus 3, which is your denominator, should be a factor of your numerator, di po ba? Because if n minus 3 is not a factor, then this expression will not be an integer. And an integer added by a non-integer will result to a non-integer value. With such, therefore, we could say that 19 all over n minus 3 must be an integer, and the denominator n minus 3 must be a factor of 19, which is your numerator. Pero take note po take note po natin that positive po yung hinahanap natin, and we know that 19 is prime. So therefore, 19 is equal to, I express it as 1 times 19, no? And therefore, the n minus 3 could be equal to 1, or the n minus 3 could also be equal to 19. Okay? So it's either you have n minus 3 is equal to 1, or n minus 3 is equal to 19 muna for this case. So if n minus 3 is equal to 1, so meaning n is equal to 4, or n minus 3 is equal to 19 means that n is equal to 22. However, apart from that, 19 could also be expressed as a product. 19 could also be expressed as negative 1 times negative 19, right? That's why the n minus 3 could also be equal to negative 1 or could be equal to negative 19. If n minus 3 is equal to negative 1, it follows that n is equal to 2. And if n minus 3 is equal to negative 19, adding both sides by 3 gives you n equals negative 16. So you could see, positive values of n lang po yung hinahanap natin. Pwedeng 4, 22, at 2, there are 3 values. Letter B. Yes po, malapit po ako sa outlet. Kasi kailangan kong ilabas, no, yung dapat to ng ibitaw. Okay, letter B. I hope na nakuha po natin. Next number. If x, y, and z are natural numbers such that 1 all over x plus 1 over y plus 1 over z equals 15 over 52, what is x plus y plus z? Did you go for 12, 13, 14, or 15? Yeah. Letter A daw sabi ni Sir Chad. Grabe siya, mabilis pa siya sa all right. Okay. How about the others? Do you agree with letter A? Or hindi po tayo sure? Actually, meron pong technique dito. And this is an example, no, of some problems that could occur or that could come out in an Olympiad problem. By kerneling and residue. Ay sana all, kina-kernel. Okay, parang mais lang. Now, meron pong technique dito. And gagamit po tayo ng tinatawag nating reciprocal property of equality. Tama po. Reciprocal property of equality. That is, if none of the expressions from both left and right are equal to 0 or is undefined, this could actually apply. That is, the reciprocal of the expression on the left side is also equal to the reciprocal of the expression on the right-hand side. So, kung inyo pong kukunin yung reciprocal nito, this will be your numerator, no? and your denominator will be 1. So this expression over 1, or simply this, equals 15 over 52. Its reciprocal is 52 over 15. Pero kung gagawin po natin siyang mixed number, this is actually 3 and 7/15 or 3 plus 7 over 15. At kung titingnan po natin ha, yung x dito is a whole number, and it seems, no? So by symmetry, no? X here is a whole number, and on the right-hand side, on the rightmost side, 3 is your whole number as well. So it means that x is equal to 3. At dahil x is equal to 3, ito po yung expression nito na 1 all over y plus 1 over z is actually equal to this part, which is 7 over 15. That's why you have this expression. And using the reciprocal property of equality again, the reciprocal of this expression po ay y plus 1 over z. And the reciprocal of 7 over 15 is 15 over 7. Or as a mixed number, no? It's actually 2 and 1 over 7. Or 2 plus 1 over 7. It follows po na y is the whole number part here. So y is equal to 2. So ano pong natira? 1 over z equals 1 over 7. And meaning to say, if you will take the reciprocal of both sides, ito ay magiging z equals 7. That's why I do agree with the solution proposed by Sir Chan. Okay? And therefore, adding x, y, and z gives us 3 plus 2 plus 7 or 12. So to those who answered A, you got it right. Okay, Sir Chan got it right, and I think also others got it right. They're just shy to give their answer siguro. Okay. 127. How many ordered pairs xy of positive integers satisfy 3x plus 4y equals 168? Anyone? Letter C daw, sabi ni Sir Chad, which is letter C, 14 daw. How about the others po? Okay. Letter C also for Sir Jerome. All right. Actually, let's approach this one, no, in a number theory perspective or related to your algebra. Caltech din daw. Ay, sana all. So ito po yung ginawa ko. So 3x plus 4y equals 168. So with that, no, I solved, or I expressed this line in slope-intercept form. I subtracted both sides by 3x, giving you 4y equals negative 3x plus 168. And I divided both sides by 4. That's why y is equal to negative 3 over 4x plus 42. So you could see, no, yung slope po natin, di ba, sa form na to, kung ano yung partner ng x mo, okay, joke lang. Kung ano yung partner ng x mo dito, yan yung slope mo. So your slope is negative 3/4. And take note, ano nga ba yung ibig sabihin ng slope, di ba? Change in y over change in x. So ibig sabihin po nito, di ba positive yung x, negative yung y? Yung change in y, I mean. It means that for every increase of 4 in x, there is a corresponding decrease of 3 units in y. That is another way of explaining your slope. Okay? So ito po yung ginawa ko. Una ko pong ginawa ay, let's say, I let x be equal to 0 po muna, because I noticed that 168 is divisible by both 3 and 4. No? So if x is 0, then y is 42. You could verify that po, no? If x is 0 here, y equals negative 3/4 times 0 plus 42 will give you y equals 42. Take note, bawat increase ng x ni 4, si y ay mababawasan ng 3. So 4, ito bawas ng 3, 39. Sure po ako dyan. Kung hindi yan gumana, naku, ewan ko na lang. Mali yun. So, plus 4 ka sa x, 8, then sa y, 36. If x is 12, y 33, and so on until such time na if x is 52, then y is 3. Or if x is 56 plus 4 ka dito, y will become 0. But if you could notice, sabi kasi sa problem, dapat x and y are both positive. So yung first case na may 0 at yung last case, no, ay hindi po natin i-consider kasi nga po, not all of them are positive. So we will consider 4, 8, 12 all the way until 52. This is actually an arithmetic sequence, no? Ito po yung y naman, 39, 36, 33 all the way until 3, is also forming another arithmetic sequence. So yung ginawa ko po, sa x lang po ako gumamit, no? Kasi yung x ko, basta. Okay. So ito po, 4, 8, 12 all the way until 52. So this is an arithmetic sequence, no? And the formula is a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times b, where a sub n is the nth term, or could be the last term. A sub 1 is the first term, n is the number of terms, and d is the common difference. You could see here that the first term is 4. You are adding 4 all throughout, so your common difference is 4, and your 52 is a sub n. By substitution, you have 52 equals 4 plus the quantity n minus 1 times 4. Subtracting both sides by 4 gives you 48 equals n minus 1 times 4. Some of you might distribute the 4, but in my case, I will just divide both sides by 4. So that gives you 12 equals n minus 1. And adding both sides by 1 gives you 13. Hence, there are 13 ordered pairs, and the correct answer is letter B. Okay. Okay lang po. It's okay. Nagkakamali ako. Nagkakamali din po ako minsan. It's okay, no? The cold never bothered me anyway. Okay, kidding aside, okay lang po. So, 13 ordered pairs lang po lahat-lahat. League ko first. Joke. Sige lang po, okay lang po yan. Find the largest integer value of n such that 1 times 3 times 5 times 7 and so on all the way until 45 is divisible by 3 raised to n. Did you go for 12, 13, 14, or 15? Okay, so 12 daw. Letter A, yes, sabi ni Sir Chad. Okay. How about the others po? 12 din daw. But take note po ha, di ba 3 raised to n? So we will only consider among these numbers, no? We will only consider these are odd numbers. But for it to contribute to 3 raised to n, that particular odd number should be a factor of 3. So how many factors of 3 does this number has? So 3 has 1. Odd multiples of 3 have at least 1 3 as a factor. We will not consider the other multiples of 3, no? Odd numbers, that are not multiples of 3. So, pwede ring 9, di ba? 9 is 3 squared. So, 3 times 3, so dalawa siya. So, ang next naman is 15, di ba? 3 times 5. So, meron siyang isa. Next is 21, 3 times 7. So, meron siyang isa din kasi 3, isang 3. Yung 27, it's 3 cubed. So, 3 times 3 times 3, tatlo po sila. Yung 33 naman ay 3 times 11, so isa lang siya. 39 is 3 times 13, isa din. At saka yung 45, which is 3 squared times 5 or 2. So kung atin pong i-count lahat, 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2, you could see that 12 po yung sum nila. Therefore, we could say that the largest or the highest power of 3 such that 3 raised to n divides the product is 12. Letter A po. So therefore, that expression could be divided by 3, 3 raised to 1, 3 raised to 2, all the way until 3 raised to 12 only. But of course, highest lang po yung hinahanap natin. So 12 po yung sagot. Letter A. Okay, tama. Ako lang naman yung mali palagi. Char lang. There are two positive numbers whose arithmetic and geometric and harmonic means are contained in the set 8, 10, and 6.4, but not in order. Which of the following is the harmonic mean? Is it 6.4, 8, 10, or there's incomplete information? Letter A daw, sabi ni Sir Chad. How about yung iba po? Naniniwala po ba kayo sa forever? Hindi. Naniniwala po ba kayo sa letter A? O baka naman incomplete information? No? Letter A din daw, sabi ni Ma'am Elizabeth. And if you answered A, tama po kayo. Bakit po kayo tama? Because meron po tayong theorem, no? That is, given any two positive quantities, AM stands for the arithmetic mean, GM stands for the geometric mean, and HM stands for the harmonic mean. Meron po tayong tinatawag na AM, GM, HM inequality. That is, the arithmetic mean is greater than or equal to the geometric mean, and the geometric mean is greater than or equal to your harmonic mean. So therefore, the harmonic mean is actually the smallest among these three. And of course, the smallest here is 6.4. Therefore, the correct answer here is letter A. So kahit di po natin alam kung ano yung dalawang numbers na yan, yung alam po natin, yung pinakamalaki, 10 is the arithmetic mean, 8 is the geometric mean, and 6.4 is the harmonic mean. Letter A po. 6.4 din po, may decimal. Ay, grabe siya. It doesn't mean like that po ha, but it should be the smallest among them. Nagkataon lang po na correct answer, pero iba po yung reason. It's okay po. Welcome. 130. The number 14 is a blank number. Is it abundant, deficient, perfect, or triangular? Okay, deficient daw. Deficient, pero yung tanong, saan ba siya nagkulang? Ano daw? Okay. So, in this case po, no, to determine if the number is abundant, deficient, or perfect, we have to determine all the positive factors of 14 except itself. Okay? So, di ba yung factors ito ay 1, 2, 7, 14. Pero, i-exclude lang po natin yung self niya. Okay? And yung gagawin po natin is, i-add po natin lahat ng factors niya, lahat ng positive factors niya, maliban sa sarili niya. So, that would be, the sum nila is 10, di po ba? Pero kung inyo pong mapapansin, yung sum ng factors nito ay mas maliit kaysa sa actual number na 14. At dahil maliit siya, since the sum is less than the given number, which is 14, thus the sum, or I mean this, thus 14 is a deficient number. Letter B. Kung nag-equal po siya sa self niya, perfect number po yung tawag doon. Halimbawa po, 6. Yung positive factor si 6 except itself ay 1, 2, 3, di po ba? 1 plus 2 plus 3, 6. Equal siya sa self niya. So 6 is a perfect number. Pero kapag yung sum naman po ng factors ay sumobra sa kanyang sarili, meaning sumusobra na po siya, abundant number po yung tawag doon. Yes po, Ma'am Elizabeth. Thank you po. Letter B. 131. What's the largest power of 3 that divides 20 factorial? Did you go for 7, 8, 9, or 10? All right, letter B daw, 8. We have 4 people who commented 8 so far. Let's see if these 4 people are correct or ligwak ganern. Now, if 3 raised to k divides 20 factorial, meron po tayong theorem, no? Yung technique po dito is gumagamit po tayo ng greatest integer function. That is, so yung 20, 3 raised to k muna, 3 raised to 1, di ba? 3. Mas maliit pa siya eh. Ito naman 20 over 3 squared, 9. Pataasin lang po ng pataasin yung numbers. Okay? Yung exponents. 3 cube is 27. This is 64 and so on. And take note po, you could continue this technique as much as you want. Ito po, no? So dito, this is 20 over 3. Ito, 20 over 9. Plus 20 over 27. Plus 20 over 81. Ito po yung greatest integer function natin. I hope na clear po yan sa atin. So, yung technique po is, di ba yung 20 over 3 is 6.6666666 and so on. Yung 20 over 9 naman, it's 2.6666666 and so on. Ito naman po ay this less than 1. Yes, between 0 and 1. This also is has a value which is less than 1. Take note po, no, when we speak about the greatest integer function, it is the largest integer that is less than or equal to the given integer. So, ano po yung greatest integer function nito? Siyempre, hindi po ito sosobra sa 7, no? Yung, of course, yung pinakamalaking integer dito ay 6. Ito naman po ay 2. Kasi 'di ba ito ay between 2 and 3? So i-drop mo lang po yung gawin mo siyang 2 because it's 2 point something eh. So 2 lang. Ito po 0 po ito, 0. Yung purpose ko po no na ginawa ko po siya, nilagyan ko po siya dito ng ng ellipsis is that no matter what you will do here, lahat po ito ay magiging 0 naman po eh. So it doesn't matter, no? Like yung past char lang. So therefore k is 8. So sure po tayo that so sure po tayo that 3 raised to 8 divides 20 factorial and k, the largest value of k is actually 8. Letter P. Tama po. I hope na nakuha po natin. Siguro yung iba po sa inyo, ginawa nyo po is yung parehas sa method natin kanina na ilang factors of 3 meron sa 20 factorial. No? It's okay, parehasin po yun. 132. What's the sum of all positive factors of 480? Did you go for 1890, 1980, 1990, or 2010? Letter E. May sumagot ng A. Okay. This number has plenty of factors, no? And meron po tayong theorem, no? To determine the sum of all the positive factors, or express this number first in its prime factorization form. So that's 480 is equal to 2 raised to 5 times 3 times 5. So, the sum of all positive factors, yung technique po dito is, di ba, add mo po muna, no? Mula sa lowest power niya, that's 1. This is actually 2 raised to 0, plus 2 raised to 1, plus 2 squared, plus 2 cubed, plus 2 to the 4th, plus 2 to the 5th. Dito naman po sa 3, yung sum of factors niya, yung sum of factors ito ay 1 plus 3. Sa 5 naman ay 1 plus 5. And if you simplify this po, no, ito po ay magiging 63 times 4. Mali po ito, times 4 times 6. So it should be, salitang po ha. So this 1 plus 3 should be 4, and 1 plus 5 is 6. And if you simplify this with the help of your calculator, you will get 1,512. And since this one is not found among the choices, so your correct answer is letter E. So E po yung tamang sagot. Thank you. Next. How many natural numbers below 30 are relatively prime to 30? Did you go for 5, 7, 8, or 9? Okay, letter 8 daw, sabi ng iba sa atin. And meron pong technique dito. Because when we say relatively prime po, dapat yung greatest common factor nila ay 1 lang. So, if you choose any natural number from 1 all the way until 29, dapat yung GCF niya with 30 should be 1. And meron po tayong technique dyan, no? First, let us express 30 in its prime factorization form, which is 2 times 3 times 5. And with that, we will use the phi function, which takes this form, phi of n equals n. N, by the way, is the number, times 1 over 1 minus 1 over p sub 1, times 1 minus p sub 2 all the way until 1 minus 1 over p sub r, where p sub 1, p sub 2, all the way until p sub r are what? They are prime factors. So 2 here is our p sub 1, 3 is the p sub 2, and 5 is the next p, no? And the n here is 30. So phi of 30 will be 30 times 1 minus 1 half, times 1 minus 1 third, times 1 minus 1 fifth. And your calculators will give you an answer of 8. And kung magtatanong kayo, ano yung 8 yon? Those 8 are 1, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, and 29. Take note ha, they have to be natural numbers less than or equal to 30 po yung tinatanong. If you have these numbers and pair it with 30, then their GCF will be 1 po sa lagay na to. So, C po talaga. Or baka yung iba po sa atin naglista. Okay lang po yan, no? Because sometimes, so if you don't know, 30 is quite manageable, you are free to list. Okay. Next, suppose the digits of 13,458 are rearranged to form 5-digit numbers. Among all the possible numbers, how many of them are divisible by 3? Did you go for 120, 60, 48, or 24? By the way, okay, letter A daw, sabi ni Sir Chad at saka ni Sir Christian. Ang tanong ko lang po ha, when can you know, no, if a number is divisible by 3? Very good. That is, if the sum of the digits is divisible by 3. So kung i-check po natin, no, counting numbers are divisible by 3 if the sum of its digits is divisible by 3. And in the number I give you, 1 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 8 is 21. And 21 is divisible by 3. That means, since 21 is divisible by 3, thus 13,458 is divisible by 3. Notice nyo po, no? Wala pong digit na 0 dito. Wala din pong digit na nare-repeat. That is, regardless of the arrangement, the number formed will always be divisible by 3 in this case. That is, di ba? Permutation problem po ito. That's 5 factorial, 120. Because there are 120 ways in arranging 5 distinct objects. Letter A. And I do agree with Sir Chad as well, no? So tama po also si Sir Christian. Perfect. 135. If 10,257 is congruent to x mod 15, what is the smallest natural number value of x? Is it 9, 10, 12, or 13? All right. Twelve daw. Take note, when we say congruent to modulo, it's just the remainder lang po yan. So, this problem is asking, what's the remainder when 10,257 is divided by 15? And if you divide by 15, you get 683, remainder 12. Thus, the value, the smallest natural number value of x po has to be letter C, which is 12. Modulo po is actually 12. The remainder or the modulo in this case. Letter C. Next, if n is a natural number, then n to the 7th minus n is divisible by the following, except, did you go for 45, 42, 7, or 6? Or letter E daw? Okay. Okay, saglit po. Now, if you could see from here po, if we represent n by 2, if we let n be equal to 2, I mean, you will get 2 raised to 7 minus 2, which is 126. Okay? And if you could see that 126 is divisible by 6, 7, and 42, but not by 45. However, there are some exceptions to the rule here, no? Here, no? Because yung tasabi dito kasi natural number, and it could be any natural number. And if n is a multiple of 4, no? Then it could be divisible by 45 as well. Okay? However, if n is equal to 4, you will actually get a value which is 16,380, which is divisible by 45. That is why, no? A number of this form could be divisible by any of the choices. So therefore, we would go with letter E. Thank you po. So sa lahat ng sumagot ng E, tama po kayo. 137. Which of the following is not a prime number? Okay, you answered 30 for this item. You answered letter A, which is 91. And if you answered 91, you are actually correct. Because 91 could be expressed as 7 times 13, and 91 has 4 positive factors, so it's not a prime number. 71, 61, and 31 are all prime numbers. Letter A. Okay, good job po. 138. What is the remainder when the entirety of 29 times 45 plus 8 times 10 is divided by 7? Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? Grabe si Sir Chad, nangahamon siya. Di daw, 4. Same with Sir Christian. All right. Let's discuss. Actually po, no, usually yung ginagawa po ng iba ay sinisimplify po niyan yung actual figure before dividing by 7. Pero yung sa akin po, dinidivide ko po muna bawat term by bawat number by 7, no? And note the remainder. Halimbawa, and I just preserve the order of the operations. Halimbawa po, si 29, when divided by 7, gives you a remainder of 1. When 45 is divided by 7, it gives you a remainder of 3. Plus. And if you have 8, no, the base is 8. 8 divided by 7 gives you a remainder of 1. That's why 1. But I copy the 10 kasi 10 po yung exponent niya. That's why this expression becomes 1 times 3 plus 1 to the 10th. So 1 times 3 is 3 plus 1 here, no? Which is 4. Therefore, This number is big, but I'm just sure that the remainder is 4. Tama po. Letter D. I hope na nakuha po natin. Next, 139. Consider any set of 10 consecutive natural numbers. What's the largest natural number that divides their product? Check nyo po. Which of A, B, C, or D yung sagot ninyo? Letter A daw. Sabi ni Sir Chad at saka ni Sir Jason. Alright, how about the rest po? Letter A din po ba? Okay. Nahihiya po ata yung iba. Huwag po kayong mahiya, ha? Take note po natin as well. Meron din po tayong theorem. That is, the product of any set of n consecutive natural numbers is always divisible by n factorial. Tandaan po natin yan. At dahil 10, hence the largest natural number that divides the product of 10 natural numbers should be divisible by 10 factorial, no? Which is 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, or 3,628,800. Letter A. 140. If P is a prime number greater than 3, then what is the remainder when P squared is divided by 24? Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? So 4 daw, sabi ni Sir Chad. Take note, if this is the case po, no, it's better siguro if you could just choose a prime number greater than 3. Halimbawa, I chose 5. So, if I have 5 squared, 5 squared is 25. And if you divide 25 by 24, the remainder is 1. If I chose the prime number, which is 7, then 7 squared is 49. Pero 49 divided by 24 still gives you a remainder of 1. And if I choose 11, for example, 11 squared is 121, and 121 divided by 24 gives a remainder of 1. So the best answer here, or the correct answer here, is that when P squared, hence, when P squared is divided by 24, and given that P here is a prime number greater than 3, then the remainder is 1. Letter A. So tama din po si Ma'am Nurse, si Ma'am Jeline, at saka si Sir Chad. Magaling. 141. Okay, calculus na po tayo. What is the limit of 4x raised to 0 as x approaches 3? Is it go for 0, 3, 4, or 12? Okay, many of you answered letter C, which is 12, which is 4. Take note, if you have this one, no, x raised to 0 is actually equal to 1, di po ba? Assume granting that x is, of course, not equal to 0. So this is 4 times 1, or 4. And we have here the limit of 4 as x approaches 3. And take note that the limit of a constant, regardless of the value it approaches, is the constant itself. Hence, the correct answer here is letter C, which is 4. So careful po tayo, 4. The limit of the constant as x approaches any value is the constant itself. Perfect. 142. What is the limit of the square root of 9x squared plus x minus 3x as x approaches infinity? Is it 0, -5, 5, or 4? Okay, letter A daw. Ang sabi ng madlang people, mabuhay. Let's see po kung tama kayo. So, you could approach this using calculator techniques as well. In my case, there's a separate session for that, no? So, you will have that one po. I multiplied this one with a conjugate, no? So, I just copied this expression, pero notice nyo po, plus na po yung sa gitna. At kung ano man pong expression yung minultiply ko sa itaas, same din po sa baba. Of course, this is just equal to 1, and multiplying any expression by 1 is still equal to itself. So if I do the distribution now, multiplying this to this, di ba? Magiging difference of 2 squares po siya eh. And that's why it's 9x squared plus x minus the square of this, which is 9x squared. Notice nyo po minus ito plus. That's why naging difference of 2 squares po yung peg niya. Square of this minus the square of this. And you could see that 9x squared minus 9x squared becomes 0. So the numerator here is x all over this one. I just copy this as x approaches infinity. Now, what I did next here was, excuse me po, I multiplied both numerator and denominator by 1 over x. At ito po yung labas niya. And this time, we will take the limit as x approaches infinity. No? So, if for the expression here, 1 over x, as x becomes very, very, very large, 1 over a very large number is approaching 0. That's why the 1 over x here will become 0, will approach 0 as x approaches infinity. Therefore, it's 1 all over the square root of 9 plus 0 plus 3, simplifying to 1/6. Is 1/6 one of the choices? So kung mapapansin po ninyo, wala pong 1/6 sa ating choice, sa ating choices. So the correct answer po is letter E. I hope na nakuha po natin. 140, next number, 143. How about the limit of x squared plus 7x plus 12 all over x squared minus 16 as x approaches -4? 0, -1/8, 8, or 1/8? All right. May sumagot ng A, may sumagot ng B. Sino nga sa atin ngayon ang nagsasabi ng totoo? Char lang. So, in this case po, the numerator could be factored as x plus 4 times x plus 3. And the denominator could be factored as x plus 4 times x minus 4. As x approaches -4. We could divide the x plus 4s, and the expression becomes the limit of x plus 3 all over x minus 4 as x approaches -4. And this time, we will now substitute x by -4, and that gives us -4 plus 3 all over -4 minus 4, which is positive 1/8. Letter D. Kasi dahil negative over negative is positive. So be positive lang po tayo mga kaguro. 1/8. Letter D. Careful po. What do you call a line that is perpendicular to the tangent line at the point of tangency? Is it normal, integral, incremental, or derivative? Okay. Yes po, Ma'am Jeline. Okay po. 144, you call that normal? Normal pa ba tayong lahat dito? Yes, I believe. And you are actually correct. The normal line is the line that goes through that certain point, and it's actually perpendicular to your tangent line. So, tandaan po natin, your tangent line, no, kung ano man po yung slope mo, yun po yung ginagamit mo. Pero, the slope of your normal line is actually the negative reciprocal, no? It's actually perpendicular to it, and it's usually the negative reciprocal, assuming that neither line is horizontal nor vertical. Letter A. 145. What is the derivative of y equals 3x to the fourth minus 5x squared plus x? Which of A, B, C, or D ang sagot natin? Letter C. Convinced? So we can use here what we call the power rule, no? So we will take the derivative of term by term differentiation. And take note po, meron po tayong power rule, that is, dito po sa 3x to the fourth, mumultiply po natin yung 3 at saka yung exponent ng variable. So 3 times 4, 12. Tapos yung exponent po nito ng variable ay babawasan po natin ng isa. That's why this is 4 times 3, 12, minus 1 the exponent, 12x cubed. Here, 2 times 5, 10. 2 times negative 5, is negative 10. 2 minus 1, 1 here. And the derivative of x is 1. Letter C. Chicken. Kayang-kaya po. Go lang. 146. What is the slope of y equals 3 times the quantity 2x plus 3 to the fourth? Which of the four choices ang sinagot nyo? We have letter A. Letter A nga ba? Take note po ha, we have functions, no? We have a composition of functions here. Parang ganun. We have a function here, no? Sa loob ng parentheses. So to do this one, what we can do is that we can still apply the power rule. Multiply the 3 times 4, which is 12. Tapos bawasan po natin yung exponent nito ng 1. That gives you 3 times 4 times 2x plus 3, 4 minus 1, 3. But you have to be very careful pa po ha. We still have to multiply this. Usually, yung common error is nagsa-stop kayo dito. But we have to multiply it with the derivative of your 2x plus 3. The derivative of 2x is 2, no? And ito, wala na to. And by multiplying, 3 times 4 times 2 is 24. Rearranging also will give us y prime, which is 24 times 2x plus 3 quantity cube, no? Using our chain rule. Okay, thank you po, Sir Chat. Letter A. All right. I hope na nakuha po natin. At kung may tanong, huwag po kayong mahiya ha. Please post lang po sa ating chat kung may tanong po kayo. 147. What is the value of the limit of 3x minus 5 all over 2x minus 8 as x approaches infinity? Is it 0, 1.5, 2, or 3? Okay, we have letter B. From 5 people at least. Let's see if that B is correct. If you have limits, no, as x approaches infinity, the technique here po is we could divide each variable or each term of both numerator and denominator by x. And with such, ito po yung lalabas. 3x over x is 3. This one will be negative 5 over x. 2x over x will be 2. Negative 8 over x will be minus 8 over x as x approaches infinity. Take note po natin, ang purpose po nito ay, di ba? As your denominator here, for example, for 5 over x, as the denominator becomes very, very large. 5 over x becomes a very small number until such time that its value is close to 0. So yung 5 over x will be 0, and in a similar manner, 8 over x will also approach 0 as x approaches infinity. Then the rest are just copied. That's why we have 3 minus 0 all over 2 minus 0, which simplifies to 3 halves or 1.5, letter B. All right. 148. Find the critical numbers of y equals x cubed plus x squared minus x plus 5. Is it negative 1, 1/3, both A and B, or none of the choices? How about the others? Okay, both A and B daw, letter C, or none of the choices. Take note po ha, when we speak about the critical numbers, to find the critical numbers, we have first to get the derivative and equate the derivative to 0. That's why getting the first derivative of this, no, using your power rule, will give you y prime equals 3x squared plus 2x minus 1 because the derivative of 5 is 0. That's why, no, I agree with Sir Chad there. And to look for the critical numbers or values, y prime or your derivative should be equated to 0 because we are looking for the numbers wherein the tangent line is horizontal or your slope is 0. So setting y prime equals 0 will give you 3x squared plus 2x minus 1 equals 0. This expression is factored to 3x minus 1 and times x plus 1 equals 0. And equating each factor to 0, so 3x minus 1 equals 0 gives x equals 1/3. And x plus 1 equals 0 gives x, the other value of x is negative 1. So the correct answer is both A and B, letter C. Thank you. 149. A spherical balloon is being filled with gas in such a way that when the radius is 2 feet, the radius is increasing at the rate of 1/6 feet per minute. How fast is the volume in feet cubed per minute changing at this time? May 4 po sa inyo ang sumagot ng A, which is 8 pi over 3. Okay? Convinced nga ba? Take note ha? Okay. How fast is the volume changing? So here, dapat alam po natin yung volume. Yung formula for volume ng sphere, which is V, which is equal to 4/3 pi r cubed. Now, we will take the derivative, no, with respect to time. We will do implicit differentiation with respect to time. So the derivative of this one is dv over dt, whereas the derivative with respect to time of this side will be 4/3 pi, that's your constant, and the derivative of r cubed will be 3r squared dr over dt. That's why ito po yung resulting equation natin upon taking the implicit differentiation with respect to time. So dv over dt equals 4/3 pi times 3r squared dr over dt. Or simplifying this, the 3 over 3 cancels, so 4 pi r squared dr over dt na lang po. And tandaan po natin ha, na sabi po sa problem, 'di ba, at a certain time when the radius is 2 feet, that's why I substituted r by 2 squared, dr over dt, or the rate of change of your radius with respect to time, is 1/6. So ito po yun. Which means, when we speak about dv over dt, that's the change on volume with respect to the change in time. Using your calculators, it gives you 8 pi over 3 feet cubed per minute. Letter A. Galing. So the derivative is equal to TSA. What do you mean po by TSA po, Sir Chad? Paki-comment po. TSA. Total surface area. Parang ganon. Okay, total surface area. Yes. In fact, no, for a sphere, I mean, if you will take the derivative of a sphere, yung resulting formula ay surface area po ng sphere. 150. A trough 10 feet long has a cross-section that is an isosceles triangle 3 feet deep and 8 feet across. If water flows in at the rate of 2 feet cubed per minute, how fast is the surface rising in feet per minute when the water is 2 feet deep? Is it 80 thirds, 3 over 80, 2 fifths, or 5 halves? Wow! Consistent po tayo. Letter B po yung sagot natin. Nako, mukhang marami po yatang top-notcher dito ngayon. Let's claim it po. Let's see. Now, ito po yung itsura niya. No? So, this is your trough, no? 10 feet po ito, 8 feet, tapos 3 feet po yung taas. And remember, if you fill it in with water, this here, no? Let's say this is the length of base. It's like a triangle, no? Let's call it the length of the base, and this is the height. And take note po, with respect to this one, there's another triangle here po, no? These triangles are actually similar with one another. Kasi, assuming po, no, na this one is parallel with this. So these two are parallel. So this blue triangle is similar to this white triangle. So using the volume of a prism formula, that is, the volume of a water is equal to the area of the base times the height of your prism. No? So, yung base po natin dito ay triangle. At saka yung height natin ay ito pong 10 feet. Yung height nito, yung taas. So if we will now take the volume or the derivative of both sides, no, if we will take if we will differentiate both sides with respect to time. So yung derivative po ng v ay with respect to time ay dv over dt. But before that, nothing is known about the b. But if we use similar triangles by ratio, no? 8, this base here, 8 over 3, is equal to the ratio of b here with respect to height. Of course, because they are similar triangles. And by manipulation, you could see, no, that the base is equal to 8 thirds times the h. Ito po. So bakit ganito? Because in this problem, we will be expressing b here with respect to the height. So we will substitute b with 8 thirds h. And that gives you this equation, no? 5 times 8 thirds h times h. Baka nagtataka kayo, "Sir, saan ang galing yung 5?" Kasi 'di ba, 1/2 times 10 will be 5. And this B is 8/3 H, plus H is H. And this simplifies. If we will now take the implicit differentiation, this is 5 times 8 of 5 times 8/3 will be 40/3 times H squared. And we will now differentiate this one. So with respect to time, both. So dV over dt equals 40/3 times, this is 2H, yung derivative nito, times dH over dt. And after that, knowing that dV over dt is 2, and the height here is this one, no? 40/3 ito. Yung 2 times 40/3 is 80/3, by the way. Pero yung height is 2 eh. So ito po siya. So it becomes 2 is equal to 160 over 3 dH over dt. And solving gives us dH over dt as 3 over 80 feet per minute, letter B po. Salamat. Exactly po, no? I agree with you, Sir Chad, no? Because your H is changing here. As your B changes, your H here is also changing. And we use the similarity principle to express B in terms of H. 151. Evaluate the integration of x squared as x goes from 0 to 2 dx. 8/3, 5/3, 2/5, or 8/5. Okay, so you could actually use your calculators for this purpose, no? Or if you wish, kapag nag-i-integrate na po tayo by the power rule, no? We will add 1 to the exponent, and whatever the exponent, that will be your denominator as well. That's why it's x cubed over 3. And of course, we copy here the limits of integration, which are 0 and 2, in this definite integral. So yung susunod po natin gagawin ay we will substitute all the x's by 2's. That's 2 cubed over 3. We also substitute all the same expression, the 0 by the x by 0. You have 0 cubed over over 3, and subtract the results, giving us 8/3. Letter A. So this one is just supplemental. No? It's just about the area of a curve. But nevertheless, it's not being asked, so that one is already enough. Like, kailan ba ako naging sapat? Ano daw? Biro lang. 152. How about this? Evaluate the integration of square root of x as x goes from 1 to 4 dx. 10/3, 5/3, 14/3, or 8/5. Okay, letter C. Let's see. From here po, no? So take note that square root of x could be written as x raised to 1/2. And using again the power rule, you add 1 to the exponent. So 1/2 plus 1 will be 3/2. No? That's why x raised to 3/2. Pero kung ano man po yung exponent ng x, yun din po yung ating denominator. And of course, we copy the limits of integration. And from here po, but if you divide by 3/2, no, it's the same as multiplying by 2/3. Tama? And now, gaya po ng dati, substitute x by 4. Then, substitute the same expression by 1. Then, subtract the results. Giving us 14/3. Letter C. So sure po tayo, no? Even though you will use your calculators, you will arrive to the same value. Okay, tama po. Kayo na po ang tama. 153. The equation of the normal line to the curve y equals x squared minus 4x at the point where the curve crosses the y-axis is it A, y equals 8x minus 4, B, y equals negative 4x, C, y equals 1/4 of x, or D, y equals 4x? Okay, C. I can't help it, but we have many people who answered letter C. Let us check if you got it right. Take note po that the normal line is perpendicular to your tangent line. From here, we have to solve for the slope po muna. So, but take note, sabi niya kasi, where the curve crosses the y-axis. Baka nagtatanong po kayo, bakit zero yun? Kasi di ba, if y is equal to 0, there will be two values of x, no? So if x is 0, you will get y as equal to 0. So this curve actually passes through the point 0, 0, or your origin, no? And take note let's look for the slope first, and that is getting the first derivative. So y prime is equal to 2x minus 4. I agree with Sir Chad as well. And take note that if x is 0, then it follows that y prime is negative 4. Meaning to say, the slope of the tangent line at the point 0, 0 is negative 4, which means that the slope of the normal line, dahil yung normal line po natin ay perpendicular sa kanya, then the slope of the normal line is, ano po? Ano po yung slope ng normal line natin? Okay, it's the negative reciprocal of negative 4, no? So that's why the slope of the normal line is 1/4. With such, we can now use the point slope form y minus y sub 1 equals m times the quantity x minus x sub 1. So the point is 0, 0. So y sub 1 is 0, x sub 1 is also 0. And your slope and your m is 1/4 gives us y minus 0 equals 1/4 times the quantity x minus 0, or y equals 1/4 of x. Letter C. Okay? I hope you got it. 154. A farmer with a 200-meter of fence plans to enclose a rectangular piece of land using a river on one side and a fence on the other 3 sides. Solve the maximum area in meters squared that the farmer can obtain. Did you go for 5,400, 5,200, 5,000, or 5,600? Okay? The people commented letter C, which is 5,000. Let's see. Ito po yung itsura niya. Halimbawa po yung blue na part, yan po yung river. Okay? So ito po yung enclosure. So ito, this is a rectangular enclosure, no? So ito, I say this is Y. If this is X, of course, dahil rectangle nga po ito, dapat X din po siya. Kasi opposite sides of a rectangle are congruent. Okay. Now, if you could see that if dahil yung fencing material nyo po is 200 meters, so x plus y plus x, or 2x plus y, is 200. And expressing this equation in slope-intercept form will actually give us y is equal to negative 2x plus 200. And remember, we are looking for the maximum area. And that is length times width, di po ba? That's why x times y is your area. By substitution, I will express y in terms of x. So this y will be represented by negative 2x plus 200. Therefore, you have that, which simplifies to negative 2x squared plus 200x equals a. Now, let's get the derivative both sides, no, to determine the critical values. So the derivative with respect to x, the derivative, it's negative 4x plus 200 equals a prime. However po, we have to set a prime equal to 0 to look for the critical value. And negative 4x plus 200 equals 0 tells us that x has to be equal to 50. Okay, so you can verify that po, that 50 satisfies this equation. So therefore, if x is 50, para makuha po natin yung y, we could substitute it back to this equation, y equals negative 2x plus 200. So y is equal to negative 2 times 50 plus 200 or 100, which means x is 50 and y is 100. And therefore, the maximum area is 50 times 100 kasi length times width lang naman, or 5,000 po. Letter C. Magaling. Sunod. Take note po ha, baka masyado po tayong mabilis. Kung may tanong po kayo, huwag po kayong mahiya, okay? Feel free to chat po. Wala pong problema sa akin yon. All right, 155. Find the area of the region bounded by x equals 3 minus y squared and the line y equals x minus 1. Did you go for 12 25ths, 9 halves, 13 halves, or 18 over 25? Grabe siya. Okay. Letter B in the house. Yes po, Sir Jerome, no? Natatakot po akong mawala siya. Yung signal. Okay. Let's see kung tama po. Take note that finding the area of regions bounded by curves entails integral calculus. So the first thing I did po is graph the two, no? First, kasi hindi po sinabi yung limits of integration eh. So if that's the case, we have to graph them first and determine muna yung kanilang intersection. So to determine their intersections, I equated the y plus 1 to 3, di ba x equals y plus 1 at saka x equals 3 minus y squared. So we have to equate them both to solve for the y's. So simplifying this, no, or rearranging them and combining like terms, you will get this quadratic equation, which is y squared plus y minus 2 equals 0, which could be factored as y plus 2 times y minus 1 equals 0. Equating each factor to 0 po will give us y as either 1 or negative 2. That's why kita nyo po, ho, at y equals 1, nag-intersect po siya dyan. At y equals negative 2, nag-intersect po yung dalawang curves dyan. At ito po yung graph nila. And our goal here is to find the area of the graph between the two graphs, the blue region there. So with that, to determine the area, no, so it will be the function to the right, right minus left po tayo. That's why, if you will draw here a rectangular strip, no, the rectangle will touch the area of the right part of the rectangle will touch the 3 minus y squared, and the left part niya will touch this part. And it is right function minus the left function, with the limits of integration, no, will be the y's. And for that, 3 minus y squared subtracted by the quantity y plus 1 dy as y ranges from -2 to 1. That's why simplifying this will give you negative y squared minus y plus 2. And the same thing po, no? We will do term by term integration. So negative y squared, you add 1 to the exponent, negative y cubed over 3. Add 1 to what negative y squared over 2 plus 2y. And of course, copying the limits of integration. And for this po, we will substitute 1 to this entire thing. We will substitute -2 to the y of the same function and subtract po natin yung results nila. It will give you this, no, expression. Your calculators can do the rest, and this simplifies to 9/2 square units. Letter B. Galing. 156. How about evaluating this expression? The square root of 1 plus 3x dx as x goes from 1 to 8. 24, 25, 26, or 27. Okay? From here po, you could use your calculators directly for this, no? In my case, I use the power rule. So, but be careful. I know that my inside is 1 plus 3x. Derivative po nito ay 3. That's why naglagay po ako ng 3dx dito. But to counteract 3dx, syempre dapat may 1/3 po ako na i-multiply din siya. That's how I arrived to that expression. Okay? Now, this time, I employed the power rule also. Hindi na po ako gumamit ng substitution. So, this one, I add 1 to the exponent. That's 1 plus 3x raised to 1 na plus 1. At kung ano man pong exponent dyan, dapat ito rin po sa baba. But of course, meron pa pong 1/3 dyan. And you will evaluate this as x goes from 1 to 8. No? Simplifying further gives you that value, which is 2/9 times a quantity 1 plus 3x raised to 3/2. So like yung kanina, I'll substitute x by 8. I'll also substitute 1 to the same expression, to x of the same expression, then subtract them. Ito po yung kalalabasan niya. And simplifying this whole thing gives you 26. Letter C. Calculators can help you do the trick on this one. I don't need to discuss everything by detail considering that may calculators naman po tayo. Okay, marami pong nakakuha. Okay, thank you po. 157. How about this? What is the integration of x times x squared plus 1 quantity squared dx? Okay, usisain po ninyo. Saan po sa A, B, C, at saka D ang sagot nyo? Letter A daw, sabi ng 3, ng 4 sa inyo, ng 5 sa inyo. Now, in this case po, I think you will agree with me, I hope you will agree with me, that we can use integration by substitution. Bakit ganon? Ito po yung ginawa ko. I recognize that 2x is the derivative of x squared plus 1, no? However, instead of 2x, x lang po siya. That's why, to do this, no, para maging 2x, nag-multiply po ako ng 2. But of course, to maintain equality, kapag nag-multiply ka ng 2, multiply ka rin ng 1/2 to maintain equality, no? So I multiply and divide by 2 here. And with that, you have one, I've factored out the 1/2. And this is x squared plus 1 quantity squared times 2x dx. So ito po yung function, ito po yung u, parang ito din po yung du. Okay? And using the power rule, you add 1 to the exponent. So 2 plus 1, 3. So that's why meron ka pong x squared plus 1 cubed. Pero, kung ano man po yung exponent dito, dapat ito din po yung ilalagay sa ibaba. That's why may 3 pa po dyan. But 1/2 times, may 2 times 3 ka sa denominator, that simplifies to 1/6, no? That's why you have 1/6 of x squared plus 1 quantity cube plus c, and it is letter A as well. Okay? Malapit na po. Malapit nang mag-alas 8. 158. Determine the integration of 2x minus 1 dx. Okay. Yun lang. Saan dito? Okay, we have B, people. All right. So in my case, let us use the inner function, no? Yung sa loob will be 2x minus 1. I let that as my u. And if we will calculate du, the derivative of u is du. The derivative of 2x minus 1 is 2 dx. And from here, now using this, the square root of 2x minus 1 equals square root of u. And you know that dx here, from this equation, no, du equals 2 dx. You divide both sides by 2, giving you dx equals du over 2. And by substitution po, from here, this will give you the square root of u times the dx, which is du over 2. Okay? And from here, the 2 here in the denominator is factored as 1/2. The square root of u is u raised to 1/2. And again, employing the power rule, we will add 1 to the exponent. So 1/2 plus 1, 3/2. Over 3/2 ka din. And this simplifies, using your algebra, this simplifies to 1/3 u raised to 3/2 plus c, which is your constant, no? And remember, it's not yet your final answer because your u has to be substituted back with, it's here. That's why you have 1/3 of 2x minus 1 raised to 3/2 plus c, letter B. Ayos. 159. What is the integration of cosine squared x sine x dx? Tingnan mabuti ang choices. Letter A daw. Sabi ni Sir Chad, ni Sir Christian, ni Ma'am Nurse. Okay. Caltech. Okay, sana all. In my case po, I use, remember, no, that the derivative of cosine is negative sign. And in my case, I let this one po, oh, if I let u to be the cosine x, that's why u squared is cosine x squared. And du mo po dapat, di ba? Du mo dapat, the derivative of cosine is negative sign. That's why, dito nakalagay positive sign x eh. So to have, let's manipulate. So nag-multiply po ako ng negative 1 dito. But of course, nag-multiply ako ng negative 1. Multiply din po ako ulit dito ng negative 1. Because negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. No? So we did not alter the value. We just represented it by in another form. So now, you see, this is now u squared and this is du. And applying the power rule, you add 1 to the exponent. So 2 plus 1, 3. That's why it's u cubed over 3. Pero may plus c pa po tayo. But be careful, meron pa po tayong negative sign dito. So kinopya ko po yun. And representing, remember your u is cosine x. That's why I substituted it back. And that's negative of cosine x quantity cubed plus all over 3 plus c po. And it is letter A in the choices. And we have one more. I hope po na okay po sa atin. You could revisit po, no? So especially our calculus techniques. And 160, integrate x times x squared plus 1 quantity cube dx as x goes from 0 to 1. 15/8, 3/8, 2/3, 13/8. Letter A. There are 5 people who answered letter A. And in a similar manner po kanina, yung derivative, I think it's a similar kanina, no? Yung derivative ng x squared ay 2x. Pero, x lang po yung nakalagay dito. That's why nag-times 2 ka dito. But to counteract times 2, multiply by 1/2. And still, be careful. You have your limits of integration po, which is 0 and 1. So this is a definite integral. And we should not put c. We should not put plus c anymore. So utilizing the power rule immediately, this is u. And this is your du. So therefore, that's u cubed. Okay, so if I let u to be x squared plus 1, it's u cubed, no? Du. And this, but be careful po, we have to check the limits of integration. Bakit ganon? Bakit kaya naging 1, 2 siya instead of 0, 1? Kasi, di ba? U ito eh. If x is 0, 0 squared plus 1 will give you 1. If x is 1, 1 squared plus 1 will give you 2. That's why there is a change, along with the change of variables, there is also a change in the limits of integration. In this case po kasi, nag-assume ako na hindi ko nagagamitin yung x ko, u na lang po yung gagamitin ko ngayon. That's why I changed the limits of integration. But if you intend to use the same value of variables as x, don't change the limits of integration po. So from here, that's applying the power rule of for integrals. We have u to the 4th over 4 times 1/2 here. As of course, your limits of integration is from 1 to 2. And that is, you substitute 2 here. You substitute also 1 here and subtract. So this is 2 to the 4th. That's 16 over 4, which is 4. 1 to the 4th, 1 over 4, 1/4. 4 minus 1/4, but there's an extra 1/2 here. And that gives you 15/8, letter A. I hope it is clear with us po. And I hope that the session right now is a bit challenging, but I hope you were able to understand, no? With that, thank you very much and a great day to one and all.